Hey, good morning. Have you guys ever wondered what it takes to be successful at trading cryptocurrency or the stock market or Forex, gold, silver, whatever it might be that you have a desire to trade? Have you ever thought about how cool it would be to be able to make money just kind of sitting behind your desk? Have you ever dreamed about quitting your job so that you could become a full-time trader? Well, folks, if those are things that are on your mind, then stick around today because we're going to go over a few key things that can help you on your path. Now, to be fully transparent, I've said this a million times. I don't necessarily want to be a full-time trader myself. I don't want to have to kind of sit behind my desk looking at charts and be in a position where in order to make money, I have to be doing the work. So one of the things about trading that is awesome is that it does give you some freedom from an employer if you get good enough at it. But the fact of the matter is, it's kind of like playing poker. I've mentioned this a lot of times. If you're a tremendous poker player and you can earn money playing poker, that is also cool, and it's a form of freedom. But guys, anytime you decide that you don't want to play poker for a couple of weeks, you're not going to make any money. And the same thing kind of holds true for trading. So, one of my favoriteest people on this planet is a guy named Crypto Lifer, Sam Price. Just an incredible human being. If you have ever watched his show, if you've ever gotten to know him, not only is he a very good trader, like the top 1% of the top 1%, like he is one of the best in the world, in my opinion, but he also is an incredible family man, and he's an incredible, man of God, and he's just the all-around package. Like if there was somebody out there in the world that you wanted to aspire to be like, good old Sammy Price is one of them. But the thing about what he's doing, guys, is that he's the whole company. And I love him. But if Sam ever wanted to take his foot off the brake or off the gas pedal and ever wanted to just kind of move away and try to do something else with his life, it would be an interesting circumstance because everything is dependent upon him. When he's doing the trading, it's dependent upon him. When he's running his Saturday classes, it's dependent upon him. His $99 a month private group, it's all dependent upon him. And that's great. He's got an incredible business model and he's making a lot of money. But I like to try to create passive income in my life. I like to try to set myself up where if I want to go take, 3 months or 6 months to travel the world, I've got a good friend, James Taylor. He's probably not watching this right now because he's in Bali. He just headed for Bali, but he literally left in December of 2024, and he's got plans all the way through the beginning of 2026. Him and his wife, they basically packed up all their stuff. They sold everything that they owned pretty much. They lived in Los Angeles. And for the last 6-7 months now, all they've been doing is just traveling all over the world. And I don't know all of the places that they went, but I know that they went to Thailand. They've been in Malaysia. They're going to Bali. They're going to be going to Turkey and so on and so forth. And the reason that my friend James has the means and the ability to do this incredible, trip, this incredible lifestyle, is because he has dividend producing stocks and dividend producing crypto. He's in several cryptocurrencies that he is earning interest on. He's earning a living off of his crypto. Now, on his crypto side, because the markets have been beaten down a ton over the last couple of years, he's not really selling his crypto to live. He is letting it grow and build. But at the same time, like over the last 10-15 years, he's done an incredible job of building up a portfolio in the stock market that is dividend type paying crypto. So he's got stocks, excuse me. So he's got monthly income coming in. So my point is, what I want to share with you here today are some ideas on how you can make some money trading. But I want to do it with a caveat of making money trading is fantastic, but it's basically another form of having a job in a sense. If most of your income is derived from the trades that you are making, then you are still in a position where you own a job. Now you're the boss, and that's great. If you want to take a day off, you can. If something comes up and you have a child that's got a dance recital or a football game or something, you can be there. But at the same time, understand that if all of your income is dependent upon you successfully trading, that you can't take off too much time or all of a sudden the income dries up. And so you want to be in a position in life where the income that you have coming in, whether you work or not, is more than the money that it costs you to live on a monthly basis. And that's really freedom. So we talk a lot about financial freedom on this channel. And really, if you want to break it down to the bare minimum, the most simplistic terms, all financial freedom is the ability to live the life that you want to live without having to work. And so what do I mean by that? Well, there's a lot of people watching this channel right now that are making, let's just say that they're making, $30,000, $40,000 a year. Let's call it $3,000 a month. $750 a week, $3,000 a month, $36,000 a year. And maybe you're married or you're in a relationship and they're doing similar. So you're living off of, call it $60,000, $70,000 a year. Well, in order to be financially independent, financially free, you don't need to have millions of dollars. You don't need to have you don't have to have Lambos and mansions in order to be financially free. In fact, a lot of times people are searching for financial freedom, and as they move up the ladder of success, they continue to increase the expenses in their life by buying nicer cars and bigger homes, and they actually end up in a position where they never actually create financial freedom. So there's a big difference between having a lot of stuff, a lot of nice cars and homes and the appearance of being rich on the outside, but you have this incredibly high monthly amount of income that you have to keep up with. And if something were to happen to you and you lost your ability to earn, you would be in big trouble, versus the person that just quietly goes out and creates $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $8,000 a month in passive income, money that's coming in whether they work or not, and they can live a life of freedom. So I would rather have expenses of $40,000 a year and $50,000 in passive income and have the ability to be totally free to wake up whenever I want to wake up, to go do, what I want to do with my kids, to spend time with the people that I want to spend time with, and to have my freedom and not have to worry about where that $40,000 a year for my expenses is coming from, than to have $200,000 or $300,000 a year worth of expenses and have a nicer car and a bigger house and all of that, but not have enough income in order for me to make that $200,000 or $300,000 a year. I have to be someplace at particular times, at particular places, doing particular activities. Now, don't get me wrong. I want to have it all. I want to have some of those nicer cars. I want to have a nicer house. I'm a car guy. I love the idea. I want to own a Ferrari one of these days. I really love Cadillac Escalades. I grew up, my very first car was a 1970 Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme. And so I really love, there's a 442, it's called the Cutlass 442 convertible that had a bigger engine and a lot of torque and horsepower, and it's a beautiful car, and it kind of reminds me My first car was just a 2-door hardtop Cutlass Supreme, but one of my dream cars is this Olds Cutlass Supreme 442 convertible. So I do have dreams and goals to have bigger things. In fact, I envision at some point in time in my life, maybe even having a private jet with the Real Infinite Crypto logo or the Infinite Agape token logo on it. But my point is I want to build my life in such a way that I never give up my freedom in order to have some of these things. And so with that, let's go take a quick peek at the chat and say hello to everybody that is here this morning. XM Textile, good morning. Hope you are doing fantastic. We got Mr. Donnie T in the house. Good morning, Donnie. How are you doing, brother? Hope you are having a fantastic Tuesday. We got Mr. Eric Bernstein. Good morning. Good morning, Eric. Hope everything is going fantastic for you out there in Colorado, and hope you're enjoying the new place. Mr. Chucks, how you doing, Chucks? Good morning. We got Mr. Greg Nowak in the house. Hi, Greg. How you doing? So I know that Greg is a pretty experienced trader. He's had several years under his belt of listening to Crypto Lifer Sam Price. So he probably knows more about, Sam than I even do. And I know that he's learned a ton from Sam, that Sam has helped him make some some pretty good money. Good morning. Witcher, good morning. How you doing, brother? Hope you are doing fantastic. We got Joseph in the house. We got, we got the Muslima Queen saying there's no giveaway. Go back to bed. Yeah, good to see you, Queen. Have a good day. Mr. Dave P, hello. Hey, Dave, thanks for reminding everybody. I'm always forgetting to tell everybody to hit that like button. And then Mr. Tim G in the house. It's always good afternoon for Tim. One of these days, Tim, we got to get you moved over to the West Coast so you can say good morning with me. So with that, folks, one of the things that I try to do with my trading strategy is I try to put myself in a position where I can make some significant money with my trades, but hopefully I don't have to sit around and watch them like an absolute hawk. And so, I've got a page open here. You can kind of see this is let me pull open the WEEX. So these trades here, guys, are trades that have been in play for a long time now. You guys have seen me pull up this WEEX page for the last several weeks. It's kind of crazy though. The swings, you've seen some of these positions were up 2 or 3 or 400%. And then we've got like Polkadot here is in the red. In fact, it's showing this Polkadot trade is at negative 48%. Now, the cool thing about this Polkadot trade, you guys probably can't see it here, but I only had about $29 in this Polkadot trade. And so I got into this trade at $3.88. The price right now is $3.71. The liquidation price is $3.53. So I'm getting into the general vicinity of having to worry about this trade getting liquidated. But I got to tell you that I'm pretty excited about that, because when I first created this trade at the 388, this thing ran all the way up to closing in on around $5 and was up in significant profit. But because I only had $28, $29 in it, it really wasn't that big of a deal. So I'm actually kind of excited by what's going on with the market and with my ability to hopefully get some more money into some of these positions. So you can see now here, this H bar, I'm in it at an average price of 15.239 cents. Even it is down 24% right now. It's at 14.872. The liquidation price on it is 13.750. So I've got about a penny before it would liquidate. And so I need to probably go in and create some ladders on some of these tokens. The Uniswap trade, though, I wanted to point this out. We got into this Uniswap trade at $5.75. This thing is still up over $7. We're still at 300% on this trade. Once again, we only got $35 in, but we're up, a little over $100 bill on a $35 trade. And this is after the market has been pretty volatile for the last couple of weeks, and Bitcoin is all the way down at $104,000. Here's another token, Atom. We got into Atom at $4.02, which is one of the lower entry prices that I had seen on it. It's one of the lowest entry prices that I got in personally on a long, and it was doing very, very well. It went up from $4 to well up over $5. So it was up, 30% plus 10x leverage. It was probably up 300%. And this was on a $100 trade. So at some point in time, I could have cashed this trade out and, made $300. And, some people might say, well, maybe you should have done that, because now you could be investing, instead of only having $100 in this trade. If you would have cashed out when you were ahead 300, now you'd have $400 that you could be putting into these trades. And maybe you're right, but it's just my philosophy is kind of set it and forget it. I'm still in a pretty good position on this Atom trade. It's at $4.01. It's got to go all the way down to $3.62 before I would get liquidated. So I still have almost a 10% margin, and I could put in a ladder on this trade. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is it's kind of cool in a way that I'm getting an opportunity, and more importantly, you guys are getting an opportunity. If you haven't taken advantage of any trades over the last few weeks, not financial advice, I don't have a crystal ball, but this might be a good opportunity to get in on some of these trades. And so while we're at it, let's run over here to CoinGecko. And so let's start with HBAR. So I don't want to sound like a broken record, but when you find some tokens that you really believe are good tokens and make a lot of sense to trade, then there's no need to really go crazy looking for a lot of new tokens. Now, if you guys have some tokens that you would like me to take a look at, I would love to take a look at some of the tokens. So if you've got a token that is on a lot of major exchanges that's easy to long or short, and you would like me to take a look at it and give you my opinion on whether or not it's something that I would use with my Varnell trader system, I'm happy to take a peek at that. But, the reason that I'm so excited about Hedera is if you look at this chart here for the last year even. So this is the long-term chart, but if we go to a year here, you can see this thing all the way back in November was only 4 cents. So it's had a nice little rise. But what I'm looking at is if you take a peek here and you go from when it had this initial pump here. So this is in, around November 20th, where it's, right around 14 cents. And then if you look at this chart, it's had some ups and downs. But for the most part, this 14-cent range here is about as low as it goes. If you go over here to April 7th, which is one of the days that was one of the worst in the market in the last few months, April 6th there, it's at 13.95 cents. So, could this thing drop down another penny? Absolutely. But 10% of 15 is a penny and a half. So that would take it down to 13.5. So if you go in and get a trade in on HBAR right now, your first liquidation price would be at about 13.5. And even with just one ladder, that gets you another 1.35 cents, which would take you all the way down to a little over 12 cents. Now, guys, you can see here on the chart that 12 cents hasn't even come close to happening since November. And I think that, we are very close to the lowest price that we are going to see on HBAR in the current point. And then, I do think that is a great point. Greg says Fed meeting, tomorrow, expect volatility. So, for those of you that are watching today and you want to, maybe avoid some of that volatility and wait until after the Fed meeting tomorrow, there's never anything wrong with that. I'm trying to take advantage of the volatility myself in a sense, because I think that we're probably going to get some decent news. Let's see what will the Feds lower interest rates? Oops. What is tomorrow, June 18th? I'm curious as to what, let me see here. The Federal Reserve is not expected to lower interest rates on June 18th. The consensus among economists and market analysts is that the Fed will hold interest rates steady at the current range of 4.25 to 4.5. So it looks like tomorrow will probably be a relatively, probably a nothing burger. If they were going to lower the interest rates, that would be good for the market. If somehow they surprised us and they raised interest rates, that would be bad for the market. It looks like it's probably not going to be massive news in either direction. But maybe we can get lucky. It would be wonderful if somehow the Feds decided to lower the interest rates a little bit. But back to HBAR here. This is another token where, like I say, I think if you start off with, say, a $50 trade at 15, then you could do a $100 trade at around 13.5, and then you could do another $200 trade, say, at a little over 12, which would get you from 12, 1.2 cents would get you all the way down to 11. So you're basically can protect yourself with one buy and two ladders and get yourself all the way down to an about 11 cent Hedera. I don't think that we're going to see 11 cent Hedera in this current market. We never know. Bitcoin could get smashed off and run all the way down to 93,000, and altcoins would get smashed. It seems like every time you think that altcoins can't go any lower, they do. So nothing would surprise me. At the same time, I still feel like Bitcoin is kind of traveling through this channel here. It can't quite make up its mind as to what it wants to do. But in my opinion, I think we are going to have more upside than we are downside. I think that we're more likely to see $115,000, $120,000 Bitcoin than we are to see 90,000. Now, I could definitely be wrong about that, but that's my conviction, and so I'm making my plays based on that. So Hedera, in my opinion, would be a solid token to put some money in on, and I've got this trade here over on another exchange. So I got in on this trade at 14,887, and my liquidation price is 14. And so, this is another one. I'm down 46% on this one. And this is one that I probably should go put a ladder in on. So right now we're at, my entry price was 15,449. And right now we're at 14,877. And my liquidation price is at 14 cents basically. So, this is a $125 trade. I feel like 15-ish is a pretty low price for HBAR. But at the same time, I do know that this could come down. So this is another trade that I probably want to back up, because if I go put in a trade at a little over 14 cents, I can get my liquidation price all the way down to about 13.6, which I feel like is a relatively safe spot. Here's that Bitcoin trade that I did several weeks ago now, probably a month ago at 103,800. And right now it's, at 104. So it's up $2, up a lousy 2%. But I still, once again, I think that this Bitcoin trade, could potentially be good. But HBAR is definitely one of the tokens that has definitely had a bad week. It's down 8.3%. Let's go out to the main page here and see where we're at. So, you know, most of the tokens, I guess, are in that range. Like if you look at the weekly on a lot of these tokens, it's 17, 12, 8, 4. So it's, you know, HBAR is kind of right in the middle there. It's not as bad as like an Avalanche that's down 15%. It's not like a SWE that's down 17%, but it's still down 18 or 8%, which is pretty significant. You know, Polkadot, this is one of those tokens where whether you love it or hate it, whether you think it's going to have a massive, you know, bull run when we finally hit altcoin season or not, in my opinion, Polkadot is a fantastic token to trade. So it's a second one that if I were you, I would take a very close look at here. If we go out to the max chart here, I've showed you guys this before, but look at this. You can't really find a spot on the chart. Right now it's down at, you know, $3.71. This goes all the way back. This is all the way back here in August of 2020. It was $2.94. So right here, we're at November of 2020. So since November of 2020, look at this chart. There's no spot on this chart that is really much lower than where it is now. Like right here on April 8th, April 7th, it got as bad as 337. So if you were to put in a trade at 370, that gives you a 37-cent cushion. So 37 from 370 leaves you at around 330, 333. You can see here it came down to 337. So the odds are a trade on Polkadot is probably relatively safe. And with one ladder, you get yourself all the way down under $2. So Polkadot, in my opinion, is a great token. If you're looking to do a leverage trade, I think that Polkadot would be another one that I would be extremely excited about. And if you go back to my chart here, look at what I'm talking about. It's like HBAR is down and in the red, but my Uniswap trade is still up. So Atom is another one. We'll take a peek at it. But the ones that are in the red are the ones that I think are the best bet. Now, Polygon here, we got into Polygon all the way back at 18.287 cents. And right now it's 19.5. My liquidation on it is a little over 16. So this is another one, though. Polygon Matic at under 20 cents is, in my opinion, a pretty good spot to potentially get your first entry in if you don't have an entry in on a, if you don't have an entry in on Polygon, I would take a close look at Polygon, Polkadot, and then let's go ahead and take one more look at Atom. Once again, like I've told you guys, this is one of my favorite tokens to be accumulating spot. And, and so when it's down this low, even if you just pick up 5 or 10 of them and get them staked at 14 or 15%, it adds up over time. All of a sudden you've got a few hundred and then you've got a few thousand. So Atom is one of my favorite spot holds too in the moment. But as far as trading goes, look at this thing. Right back here, just on March 11th of 2024, this thing was a $12, $13 token. Right here, this little peak here, December 23rd of 2024, $9. So right now it's under 50%. It's, had a 50% haircut just since December. But if you look at this chart here, you can see right here where we're at this 402 is pretty much one of the lowest spots on the chart. If we go back here, this is probably April 8th here, or no, that's showing March 14th. So it's still above $4 there. Let's just do the 1 year, see if we can see here. So yeah, if you go here, you can see back here on March 9th, in that ballpark, March 10th, March 9th, $3.60. So 40 cents would be 10% of $4. So your liquidation price on a 10x trade right now on Cosmos Hub, on Atom, would take you all the way down to $3.60, which is basically as low as it's ever been. If you go here, all the way out here to November of 2024, it was only down at around $3.91. So HBAR, Atom, and Polkadot, and then Polygon, in my opinion, there's not a whole lot of reason to go look for tokens that are going to be better trades. I mean, unless you've got thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that you're looking at getting into some leverage trades, I would say that HBAR, Atom, Polkadot, and then Polygon are pretty good places to start. And then Greg asked me to take a peek at Cardano. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at Cardano. I love Cardano, and I think it's going to be an extremely profitable token long run for, you know, people that hold Cardano. The only reason that I've been a little bit hesitant to trade Cardano is because of this right here. If you go back to November of 2024, this thing was all the way down at, you know, 32 cents. And so it still had a 50% pump compared to, you know, its all-time lows. But I guess, you know, in full, you know, really so has HBAR. HBAR is actually up, you know, 300% from this November price. So if you look at it from that logic, you know, Cardano really, you know, probably isn't as risky as HBAR, and I'm pretty excited to be getting into HBAR. I've just been a little bit nervous that if Bitcoin does something really silly and really tanks, that Cardano could be a token that would get hit slightly harder. But, you know, on the flip side, you can see here that Cardano ran all the way up and was just, you know, was over $1 just on March 2nd. So March, April, May, June, like 3 months ago. So when this thing decides to take off back up to the upside, it's got some tremendous potential. You know, it was up even higher, more like $1.20, so a 2x just back in December. So, you know, let's take a quick peek here. This is the 1-year chart. So it's at 60 cents. If we go back here to this little dip here on April 8th, it dropped down to 55. So other than that 55-cent dip, that's about as low as we have seen Cardano ever since, you know, that November range here where everything started to run up. It has come back, but it's basically hasn't been, you know, any much lower than this all the way since the middle of November. So if 55 cents is a relatively decent spot to assume that we're a little bit bottomed out, well then, you know, if you invest at Cardano at 60 cents, you're going to get a 6 cent window. So that would take it down to 54 cents. If you did one ladder at 54 cents, that would take you all the way down to a little over 49 cents. And then even then, you could do one more ladder, which would take you all the way down to about 45 cents. So yeah, Cardano definitely looks like a token that if you're excited about it and you really see, you know, the potential. I know that Crypto Crow and a lot of influencers out there, including myself, think that we're going to see, you know, $5, $6, $7, $8 Cardano at some point in time in this bull market, which would give it a, you know, tremendous amount of upside. At a 10x, it would be $6, and at a 10x with 10x leverage, you're actually at 100x on a trade. So yeah, if you told me, Greg, that you like Cardano and that you wanted to put some money in a trade on the upside of Cardano, I definitely can't argue with that logic. I like Cardano. I think it's going to be, you know, around for a long time. And, you know, Cardano's probably another one that's pretty smart little buy at these levels, you know, for spot. I don't think you can go bad. You can't go wrong buying some Cardano at 60 cents, even if it does dip a little bit lower at some point in time. I think anybody that's buying Cardano at 60 cents is going to be pretty happy in the long run. Mr. Mark Valenzuela, good morning. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. How you doing today? We got Mr. Chucks. So Chucks, I was trading Cardano back several months ago. I had a little position in Cardano. I did pretty well on it for a while. And then I think I got back into Cardano after when it ran all the way up to $1.20. And then it retraced all the way back to about 75 cents. I got into it. And then it went from 75 all the way back to 60. I got liquidated a time or two. And I just haven't gotten back into Cardano. For me, Polkadot and Atom and HBAR and Polygon are kind of my favorites, and I've been sticking with them. Mr. Buckeye, good morning. How you doing? Please take a look at SWE. Good to see you. Let's see what we got going on with SWE. Let me see here. So, once again with SWE, this is definitely a great token in my opinion. Definitely a good token to hold in a longer term bag. The biggest thing that I've been a little bit nervous about with this token is, had we gotten in on this token back when we were getting in on some of these others. So if I would have started trading SWE, like back when I bought this DOT, back when I bought this Atom, I think the SWE was a fantastic spot. Obviously, we can see here it's gone from $2 all the way up to $4 at one point in time. So that would have been, a double, plus 10x leverage. It would have been a nice little win. And the thing that has me just a little nervous about it is the fact that not only has it ran up from, 60 cents back here in 2024, and even if we go back to like November of 2024, it was $1. So it's still almost, a 3x from its, back in this range. But it just feels like it's got more potential downside. So one of the things I look at, Buckeye, is with 10x leverage on a $2.85 token, that gives you about 28 cents. So if you were to put a trade in at 285 and this thing dropped back, 28 cents, that would take it to what? About 247, 57, 67, no, 257. So take it back to about 257. And then if you did a ladder trade, you would get another quarter off of 257. So that would take you down to about 232. And then even if you did another ladder at 232, that's only going to take you back to around $2.10. And as you can see, just, right here in April, this thing was all the way at $1.93. And so that's one of the things that I'm looking at with my trader system. And so I just want to make this clear. If you look here on April 8th, this thing was $1.93. It's $2.85 right now. 190 and 190 is 380. So it's not quite half. But what is it? About 40% retracement from what's 40% of 285? 40, 80, and then 4 times 8 is 32. So about $1.10. Yeah, so it's about a 40% retracement if it goes from 285 back to this 193. So remember, we're not basing these trades on whether or not we like a token. So we're not trying to trade these tokens because we think it has the most utility or that it's the best token, that it's going to change the world. We're basically looking at how can we get into tokens that have very little downside, like that the risk of getting liquidated is relatively small. And so while I think that SWE is a great token, and if you wanted to, great. But if you're just simply looking to make money on a trade, this would scare me just a little bit. And this is why. So if we go back here, let me show you once again. If you go back to DOT, sitting at $3.71 right now, and you go back to April 8th, same date, it's all the way down at what, 337. So that is about a 10% retracement to get all the way back to basically what looks like the lowest bottom that we've had on DOT in years. And so Do you want to trade a token that's got, you know, a 10% position, you know, a potential to go another 10% lower, or would you rather trade a token like SWE that's got the potential to do a 40% retracement? Like DOT, if it went down 40%, would be $1.20, and 28 would be $1.48. That would take DOT all the way down to a little over, like, say, $2.25, which I don't think we're going to see. We're going to see anywhere near a $2.25 DOT. I mean, even if Bitcoin ran all the way down to 75,000, I don't think DOT is getting smashed all the way down to, you know, a little over $2. And so that's the main thing that I am looking at here, Buckeye. Same thing when I mentioned Atom. You know, one of the things that so I'll make it clear. I'm not saying that SWE isn't a better long-term hold than Polkadot. I'm not saying that at all. If you said, hey, I want to just go buy 100 SWE and hold them for the long term, rather than buy 100 DOT and hold it for the long term, because I think SWE has a bigger upside and a longer term potential, I can get on board with that. But when we're just simply looking at trading with leverage and all we care about is something going to go up significantly with the least amount of downside, SWE would have me a little bit nervous. So same thing with Atom. Atom's sitting here at $4. We go back here to April 8th. It was, you know, or this is March 10th. All the way back in March is 361. So once again, you know, we've got a 10% downside there in a sense. Now anything can happen, and of course these tokens could go lower, but in my opinion, I would stay away from SWE myself. Just my own personal opinion. If I'm looking to trade with leverage, SWE is a token that I would probably avoid personally, just because of the metrics and what I am trying to do. What I'm trying to do is find tokens that I believe have bottomed out or very close to bottoming out. Like, to give you another example here, like I've got this trade here on Uniswap. So Uniswap right now is at $7.39, but I got into this trade at $5.75. If you look at Uniswap, and you go back here, Uniswap was a $45 token. It's down 83%. Do I think that Uniswap is going to be a $45 token again during this bull market? I think it's very possible. It's the number one DEX, you know, on Ethereum for sure, and now it's branching out to a lot of different blockchains. So, you know, it's the number one DEX. It's already got a market cap of over 4 billion, but I wouldn't want to jump into a trade on Uniswap right now. I like the position that I got it at when I got it down at $5.75, but it's 7 something here. If you go back here, now it's a similar situation from 7 all the way down to 4.76. To me, the downside is risky. If it drops 10%, that's only 74 cents. That would still, you know, leave it at, call it 675, a little under 675, and then another 10% would only take it down to, call it, a little over 6. So in order for it to get all the way down to 473, it's kind of like SWE in the sense that it's got a 30 or 40% drop coming if things were to really get crazy with Bitcoin. You know, one of the things that I want to do, I don't have the ladders in place yet, but remember, one of the things that I do is I put ladders in to protect my trades instead of stop losses. So instead of going in and putting a stop loss in at, say, I've got this H-bar trade here. I got in it at 15.239. I'm already down $35 on a $129 trade. I'm down 27%, but I don't have a stop loss. What I'm going to do is my liquidation price here is a little over 13,750. I'm going to go up to like 13.8, and I'm going to put in another trade on H-bar. So if for some reason it gets smashed all the way down to 13.8, another trade will execute, and that's going to give me all the way down to about 12.5. before I would have to worry about those two trades getting liquidated. And if I have to go back in at 12.5 and put in another ladder at 12.5, 12.6 that gets me in down around 11 cents or so, so be it. But I like to do that because I'm getting a better dollar cost average as it comes down, and I'm getting more money into the market. And I also don't have to watch it, you know, like a hawk. Because one of the things you say, well, if I put a stop loss in, I don't have to watch it at all. Well, yes and no. The trouble with that is, let's say that you, like right now, so the average entry price I got in on this H bar was 15239. Let's say that I wanted to only lose, you know, say $20 of this $129 trade. Well, if I would have put a stop loss in, there's a good possibility you guys have all had it happen to you where you've got a stop loss in and they go stop loss hunting. And the next thing you know, the token is dipped down. It's come to your stop loss and executed, and then it's bounced back up. So if you're not there watching it, what'll happen is a lot of times your position will get stopped out, and then it goes back up, and you're in a position where you don't want to re-enter the trade because you missed it. And so that's, once again, if you're a guy like Crypto Lifer that's sitting here in front of a computer, you know, 8, 10, 12, 16 hours a day, not that big of a deal because you'll just find another re-entry. But if you don't want to sit in front of a computer 8, 10, 12, 16 hours a day, and you don't want to have to try to find another good entry price and a new setup and a new, you know, opportunity, then by doing these ladders, then you basically have it, set it and forget it. And I'm actually pretty excited when these ladders come into play. So once again, like here on this Polkadot trade, I need to get some money over here to this exchange. Right now, I don't have any, but you know, Polkadot is down at $3.67. Like, in my opinion, that's about as low as it's going to go. And I only got $28 into this trade. I want to go get another $100 into this trade, which will give me a nice little position in it. It'll also lower my liquidation price. Right now is at $3.53. If I go put another $100 or so into Polkadot down at this 367, I'm going to probably lower my liquidation price down closer to 340, 345, and I'm going to have a bigger position. So I like my ladders because if they execute, I actually have a better price, better cost basis, and I have more money in the trade, you know, for the upside. And remember, those of you guys that, you know, have been watching this, I've shown the upside a bunch of times, but, you know, let's take a quick look here at Polkadot. And right now we got $28 in it, but let's say that I got $100 in it, and it was just, you know, like I'm in it at 388, and then I would be in it at 367. If we take profit here, and let's just say, you know, let's just say that it's $125, and let's just say that this goes back up to a $25 token. So during the last bull run, you know, Polkadot was a 40 something going on 50, or maybe it's a $52 token. So even if Polkadot just gets back up to $25, this would be a 54x. So my $125 would turn into 5,400, and then 25 times 50 is another 1,000. So about $6,500 that I would make on a $125 trade. And once again, getting in this trade all the way down at $3.67, you know, puts me in a position where I think it's a fairly high likelihood I'm going to be able to stay in this trade for the long term. And so even if I just put in this trade at another 100, 125 at the current price, and then I was prepared to do one more ladder at down at say 330-ish, you know, then I have a position that would take me all the way down into the high twos, $2.90, $2.95 on this token, and would be in a position to really make some incredible money on it. You know, I've talked about H-bar a little bit like this too. If you look at H-bar, you know, it's sitting down at 14.76 cents right now. If I take profit on this and I believe it's going to $1. If it just goes back up to $1, this is another 55x, 5,562%. So another 55x. So even on this $129 trade, I've got a chance of turning $129 at a 55x is going to be another, like $6,500. And that is what I'm trying to accomplish with these trades. I'm trying to give myself a chance to turn a $100 bill into $5,000, $6,000, $10,000. And I really believe that we're in a spot with the market bottoming down. Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin's down at 103. Who knows what's going to happen? Like I say, if you guys want to wait till tomorrow after the Fed meeting to go in and place your trades, I'm good with that. But I want to get some more funds in while it's going down, partially because I don't want things to get liquidated. So, I'm at 14,775 here is the market price. I'm at 13,750. So basically a 1 cent, which, is not even 10% of the current price. I think that's probably more like about, say, 7%. Another 7% dip in H bar, and this $129 trade would get liquidated. So I don't want to wait till tomorrow personally. I want to go in, get my ladder in at this 13.8 so that I'm safe if we have a little bit of volatility to the downside. But for those of you that don't have any trades in, yeah, if you don't feel comfortable doing something today because you don't trust Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin is going to kind of hold these levels. I don't think we're going to watch Bitcoin run from 103 all the way down, to like 98 or something like that personally. Once again, I don't know anything. I could be very, very wrong, but we're getting here to the middle of June, and I just think that we are poised, in my opinion, for a big run up. I don't think that we're poised to get smashed down again into the 70s or 80s or even the low 90s for Bitcoin. I think that we're poised for a run up. And so once again, I'm basing my plays on my convictions. If your charts and your convictions tell you that we're headed down, then go short these tokens. Like if you think these tokens, so that would be like if you were asking me, like if you think the market's going to go down, what token should you short? Well, if I was going to short a token, then Uniswap would make a lot of sense to me as a token to short because it's had this nice little pump. And you can see here from 743, if Bitcoin gets smashed off, this could run down to $4 or $5 fairly easy. Same thing with, SWE at $2.85. It could drop, 50, 60% if Bitcoin, goes down. So if I was really convinced that Bitcoin was going to take a beating and go down into the 90s, then I would be looking for tokens that have had some of the best pumps over the last, couple of weeks or the last month or so, and potentially take those tokens and, put them into a 10x leverage downside. Because remember, it's the same thing the other way around. Like if you take SWE and you were to do a 10x short on it, well, that's 28 cents. So it would have to go up to $3.10 before you would get liquidated. And then if you put in another short at like $3.0975, that would give you another 30 cents or so. So now you would be up to, like $3.40 before your shorts would get liquidated. And then one more ladder would take you all the way up to like $3.75. So if you think that there is a higher likelihood that we're going to be seeing pain in the market, and that you think that SWE could potentially go back down, into this $1.92 range, $2 range, that you could do the opposite of what I'm talking about, and you can put some ladders in. The reason that I personally prefer to long is if we hit a bull market, SWE might continue to go up forever. And so in my opinion, it's riskier to short the market right now because if SWE all of a sudden runs up to $4, in order for you to save that trade, you've got several ladders in place. And what will end up happening is if all of a sudden it's $5, you're liquidated. And even if you're not liquidated, you're going to have way too much money in the trade, because even if you start at 25, then you got to put in 50, then you got to put in 100, then you got to put in 200, then you got to put in 400. That's 4, 6, 7. That's like almost $800. And 5 ladders probably doesn't save you if it goes all the way up to $5. It's probably close. But if it goes all the way to $5, what are the odds that it might go to 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10? And so, in my opinion, I don't like to short the market, because I feel like the downside, the odds of me getting liquidated, even if I have several ladders in play, is bad. Because the fact of the matter is, if Bitcoin decides to do its sweet thing, and it's 110 and then 120 and then 125 and 150 over the next couple of months, these altcoins are going to get pulled up, and it's going to be near impossible to stay in a short. Where with with what I was just showing you guys here, like with Polkadot, man, with Polkadot, it's already down at $3.67. I can ladder that down to $3 with just a couple of ladders. And if I wanted to do 5 ladders, I could have it all the way down to like $2. And once again, I mean, maybe we can agree, maybe we can't agree. But I think if you go take a look at DOT on a chart here, I think that most of you would not want to bet any significant money that we're going to see $2 DOT anytime in 2025. So in my opinion, and if we did, I would just put more money into it. The thing about putting more money into covering a short is that you might get unlucky and it might never come back down until you've ran out of money, where I can always find some more money to put in. If Polkadot got all the way down to $2, I'd sell my car and walk for a couple of months in order to put a bunch of money into a 10x trade on Polkadot, at $2. I have no idea, Greg. I have not heard about the Genius Act, so I am not sure. But with that, folks, hopefully you got a little bit of value out of this. Remember, guys, that the WEEX is a great exchange. I've had their information up, and one of the things that I love about WEEX is that they, sponsor the channel with a $50 giveaway. And so I do want to give away $50 worth of WEEX tokens. So for those of you that have stuck around to the end, certainly appreciate you. And let's go ahead and pick a couple of winners to get $25 in WEEX tokens. Yeah, I know when I let you guys know there's a giveaway right in the beginning, we get a few more views, we get a few more people trying to take advantage of the situation, a few more scammers out there. These giveaways, I'm almost ready to tell WEEX that I don't want to do them anymore, because it's just crazy to me. Like last week, I asked everybody, hey, do you guys want WEEX tokens or do you want some Infinite AGAPE tokens? And everybody raised their hands and said that they wanted Infinite AGAPE tokens. And they all said, oh, I'm not going to sell, blah, blah, blah. And there's some people right here on this channel that have sold, And what's crazy is every single one of you guys that has sold has told me, oh, well, I'm just waiting for a better re-entry. Well, we all know that that's a bunch of baloney. Like if you sold your AGAPE tokens already, you're probably never buying them anymore. But what drives me crazy, guys, is like I literally gave you the choice. Do you want the Infinite AGAPE tokens or do you want WEEX tokens? And people chose the Infinite AGAPE token, and then they still went and sold it, which drives me crazy because you got a 5% tax on the AGAPE, and then you got to raise the leverage up. So while a guy could have just taken the 25 in USDT or taken $25, in fact, there's one guy that I went to send him the AGAPE tokens, and saw that he'd already sold. He won $50 in AGAPE giveaways over the last month, and he'd already sold all of his AGAPE tokens. So I told him, I'm not giving you AGAPE tokens. And I just sent him USDT. He could go buy his own AGAPE tokens. But in my opinion, if you've already sold all your AGAPE tokens, I'm not giving you any more for the giveaways. The giveaways aren't designed to put $25 cash in your pocket today, especially when I'm giving away like AGAPE tokens. The whole reason I'm giving you AGAPE tokens is so that you go buy more so that you can vote or nominate. I don't give you 25 in AGAPE so that you can sell it and have 20 bucks in your wallet. You're supposed to go buy $50 more worth so that you can have $77 and vote and try to win hundreds of dollars in airdrops. Anyways, that rant over, but sometimes I really wonder why I do these giveaways, because it just feels like they're so counterproductive. Like, obviously I want to do something nice for you guys, but of course I'm also looking to try to help the project, and I'm trying to, you know, benefit the AGAPE token. When I give away the AGAPE tokens, it's not so you guys can just go sell them on the chart and take the 20 or 22.50 or $24, whatever you get, and go buy lunch with it or do whatever you do with the 20 bucks. So on that note, I'm not even going to do the the giveaway today in AGAPE tokens. Not even going to give the choice, because I would rather just give you guys WEEX tokens and let you go sell them if that's what you're going to do. It doesn't hurt my feelings if you go sell the WEEX tokens. So on that note, guys, in order to win the giveaway, you're going to have to go into the chat, and you're going to have to this computer. You're going to have to go create a WEEX account. So if you don't have a WEEX user ID, go to the description of this video. One of the first links that you'll see is the ability to create a user ID, create an account, just a email and a password, and you'll have a WEEX account. There's no KYC. There's no VPN needed here in the United States or Canada. So they're very US friendly. So if you don't have a WEEX account already, go get a WEEX account. And then let's just make this simple, since they are the sponsor and they're the one giving us the tokens. Let's choose a live stream here, and then let's go and start collecting some entries on the WEEX token. So going to give you guys about 30 seconds to hashtag WEEX, and then we're going to draw a couple of winners for $25 in WEEX tokens. I was kind of tempted to take the people that sold the AGAPE tokens and just disqualify them from future giveaways, but I figure that would probably be a little harsh. The other thing around it is all they would do is they would just go create new YouTube accounts and come back under a new name. So there really isn't any way to police it. But for those of you that have gotten AGAPE tokens and you've kept them, you've held them, and you're promoting and you're a part of the project, God bless you. Love you guys. For those of you that have taken your AGAPE tokens and sold them, well, heck with you. I ain't happy about it. I ain't going to lie. Anyways, right now let's give away some WEEX tokens. Witcher, congratulations on $25 in WEEX tokens. I believe you probably already have your user ID is already probably in your bio. I know you've won some other giveaways. And Donnie T, congratulations on some WEEX tokens. So let me run over here to YouTube real quick if this will pull up for me. This computer's been awfully slow lately, so I want to see if I can pull this up and get here. So we got Witcher. go to your channel, and there we go. No user ID for WEEX. So go create your WEEX account through the link in this. You can see the link right here, top of the description. WEEX Exchange. Click on this link right here. That'll pull up the WEEX page here. You can see here you get a special deposit bonus and all sorts of bonuses by being here on my referral number. So just your email or phone number and sign up, and you are all set. Throw that in your bio. And then we got Donnie T. Where'd he go here? Donnie T. Pull up your channel. And we've got some AGAPE token address there, and there's the WEEX user ID. So beautiful. Both of you guys are all set. Thank you for joining us today. So with that, guys, another great day. Hopefully, some of you guys will make some money on some trades. So let me run over here to the full screen real quick. I'm curious, has anybody that's been watching this show, have any of you been placing any leverage trades over the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month? Anybody here that's actually, using any of the information that they're getting here on the show to participate in some of these trades? What do you guys think about some of the stuff that we talked about today? Do you think now is a good time to potentially go in and place some trades on HBAR, Atom, Polkadot, Polygon, Matic, some of these tokens? What are your thoughts? I'm curious to hear if you guys like what you're hearing and if you actually are putting it into action. You could watch this show every day for the next 10 years, but if you don't actually ever go create a WEEX account and deposit a little bit of money into it and actually place some trades, it doesn't do you a whole lot of good to be here. I've said that one of the things is, as a influencer, that gets frustrating is you sit here and pour your heart and soul into these videos, an hour a day Monday, hour a day Tuesday, hour a day Wednesday, and then you find out down the road that like 5% or less of the people that are watching actually ever take any of your advice and put it into action. And so, it's a little side note, we got to get going, but man, action is so important. I said it a few months ago and a guy thought I was crazy, but you're better off to go deposit, you're better off to go deposit $100 into WEEX and try to do some of these trades and lose your $100 than you are to have not ever traded at all. The only way you're ever going to be in a position to win is by losing. Like, I'm not here to tell you, if you're a brand new trader and you've never done this before, that you're going to start right off the bat by killing it. But I will give you guys this much information. Like right now, in my opinion, it is a pretty amazing time to jump in. The water is pretty warm. Let me see. I tried a Trump long that didn't work. Okay, so Tim's still in the yes, Witcher, WEEX UID. Yeah, so Tim, Trump is not a token that we talked about. Why are you trying to long Trump? Man, please, guys, I love you, Tim, but when you're trying to long a meme coin, you're really setting yourself up. Now, I understand you could have killed it too. So as long as you know that, you're kind of buying a little bit of a lottery ticket and you're okay with that and you're doing it, $20, $50, $100, money that's not going to hurt you, then what the heck? It's no different than going to the casino and trying to get lucky, on the roulette wheel at a casino or something like that. But in general, like when I'm talking about Polkadot, Atom, these are solid tokens, solid projects. And yeah, there's going to be some volatility, but nothing like a coin like the Trump coin. But guys, in my opinion, you have the ability to turn a pretty small amount of money right now into some significant money over the course of the next 2-3 months when we get the upside that I think we're going to have going on. I wanted to give a big shout out. I don't know if he's still here, but we were where'd he go? Average Joe Crypto popped in. Guys, this guy has a incredible YouTube channel. He's a professional trader. He is way more knowledgeable, a way better trader than I am. I know that he trades on shorter time frames. I don't know if you got to hear the whole show today or not, Joe, and kind of got a insight into my trader system, a little bit longer term trading system. But I wanted to give this guy a shout out because he really likes the Infinite Agape token and what we're doing. And so he actually invited me to be on his channel. Unfortunately, Joe, if you're listening, it's not going to work out to be on your channel tonight. So we might have to shoot for next week. But for those of you that have never heard of Average Joe Crypto, check him out. He's got a cool YouTube channel. He had some life and some challenges going on, so he wasn't, doing a live stream as often as he would like, but he's getting back into the rhythm, getting back into growing his channel. He's up over 10,000 subscribers and, just a really cool guy, very knowledgeable. Looking forward to having him on my channel. I actually wanted to invite him onto one of these Trader Tuesdays and have him pull up some charts and actually give us a little bit more technical analysis rather than just my fundamental analysis in one of these days in the near future. So yeah, go check out Average Joe Crypto and take a peek at his channel, and then get ready sometime in the near future here. We're going to be on his channel really talking about the Agape token. And folks, on that note, last thing that I'll talk about here is I'm trying to give you guys a little bit of a break from the Agape pitch. I don't want you to think that this is now the Agape YouTube channel. So I really didn't talk about it yesterday. I haven't talked about it much today, but it is important for you guys to know that the first vote is coming up here in 4 days. It's June 17th. Right now, the nomination period has been open for about 8 days. On June 21st, the nominations will be over, and the list of tokens that were nominated will be available to vote on the starting on the 21st, ending on the 23rd. So on the 23rd of this month here, in a week, we're going to have the first winning token that we're going to go buy several $100s worth of that token. We're going to also, we're going to be airdropping that token out to all of the winners. So if you don't have your $77 worth of Infinite Agape tokens yet, I would recommend go grab your Infinite Agape tokens and get ready to vote. And if you want to nominate a project, like literally you get $500 in USDT if you nominate the winning project. So if you got $777 lying around and you go buy Infinite Agape token, and then there's some of you in the Telegram group that have referred 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 people into the Telegram group. It would seem like to me, if you have that many people that know you, like you, and trust you, that you would have the ability to nominate a token and then maybe get some of your friends, to vote for your token. So it's, it would be a no-brainer to me if you've got a big social media presence or you've got a lot of people that trust you to make sure that you have a token nominated so that you can do the best that you can to promote that token and try to get it to be the winning token and pick up that $500 plus the airdrop. So, that's for everybody out there. If you don't have $777 in tokens, man, this first one right now, there's 4 tokens nominated. I guess that there's probably 15 people that have enough tokens to nominate. So that 4 will probably turn into 10 or so. There'll be some people that just don't have the know-it-all. They don't know how to nominate a token, and I'm going to try to help everybody. But if they don't know how to nominate a token yet, they might not get it done. They might just be too busy. They might not care. But I think that this first round is obviously going to be one of the easiest to potentially win. As the token grows, as the number of holders grows, as the number of people nominating tokens goes, it's going to be a little bit harder to pick the winning token. But right now, I think there's an opportunity for those of you that, want to, nominate a token and then get as many people that on your side and try to, get as many people as you can to vote for your token. There's a great opportunity for you guys to do that here. So with that, folks, I appreciate each and every one of you. I thank you all for your time here today. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow on the Microcap Gems live stream. And just want to make sure here. Yeah, man, it looks like we are ready to go. So God bless. Have a great day. We will see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for the Microcap Gem live stream. Take care.